Welcome to Meeple Mentor. I'm Jared, and we are about to play Arraial. Let's take a look. I'll show you how. Feel free to pause the video as needed to follow along with your copy of the game. My goal is this video can not only teach you to play, but can be shown at the game table to help set up and teach the game at your next game session. As part of that goal, I've added chapter timestamps in the description to the different sections of the tutorial to easily recap relevant rules for you. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell below the video so you don't miss any of my latest content. Arraial is the name for outdoor festivals held during the summer in Portugal. These festivals are held among streets and neighborhoods, gathering family, friends, and neighbors to enjoy music, food, and drinks. In the game of Arraial, players will organize their own street festival to attract visitors using polyomino tiles. Each polyomino shows different vendors, dancers, musicians, and other entertainers. By properly organizing the tiles on your street board, you'll attract Meeple visitors and earn points. Let's look now at how to set it up. First, place the central board in the middle of the table. It looks like a large green festival tent. Give everyone a vertical street board. Try to arrange everyone around the table so they and their boards line up to one side of the central board. Ideally, each player would be aligned to a different side of the board. There are some alternate setups found in the rulebook if this isn't feasible on your table. Give each player a level bar, which is placed on the street board according to the number of players. You'll see the player icons along the side. Create supply piles on the table, the various color polyomino pieces, and the visitor meeples. Separate out the double meeples of each color, known as couple visitors. Set aside the phase card and place the phase marker on the first space. Next, collect all the color piece cards. In a two-player game, remove one color piece card of each type, totaling 8 cards, back to the game box. Then shuffle the cards together to create a draw pile. Draw 3 cards and place them face up in the octagon of the central board. Line up the yellow dots on the cards with the dots printed on the octagon. The orientation of the cards is very important to the gameplay. Now draw 3 more color piece cards face up into a row next to the deck. Randomize a start player and give them the start player token known as the manjericão. It's a potted basil plant with a romantic note in it, all traditionally given from young men to their girlfriends in Portuguese summers. You're now set up and ready to play. The game of Arraial takes place over 3 phases, where players take turns in clockwise order around the table until there are not enough cards left to populate the octagon. After the 3rd phase, final scoring takes place. The points are earned through meeples collected on your street board. The couple visitors are worth 2 points, while the rest of the single visitors are 1 point each. On your turn, you can take up to 3 actions. There's 2 kinds of actions you can do in any order or combination you wish. The first is to simply rotate the octagon wheel 90 degrees clockwise. Put your finger in the indicated hole to get easy traction to rotate it. The arrows on the central board will remind you of the clockwise direction. After rotating once, make sure the symbols on the octagon line up with the ones on the square. The second action you can do is to place a color piece on your street. In phases 1 and 2, you must do this action at least once. In phase 3, you must do this at least twice. The phase tracker card has this reminder on it. Choose a piece shown on one of the cards sitting on the central board. Take the matching piece from the supply and put the piece on your street board in the same orientation as you see it on the central board. You do not get to rotate it as part of placing. Remove the card and place it in a discard pile. The piece must fit into a free space of the grid below your level bar. Slide the piece from the top downwards until it comes to a stop by touching another piece or hitting the bottom row. After finishing its downwards movement, if there's an available opening it can slide into, you may slide it into the empty space. When placing a piece, it can't pass through a space it doesn't fit or overlap another piece. They must be properly aligned with the grid and never leave the border of the street. If you end up placing a piece so that it overlaps your level bar, you lose the level bar for the rest of the game. After completing your actions, you must choose new color piece cards from the display to refill the octagon. Whenever adding new cards to the octagon, make sure to match the yellow dot on the card to the yellow dot on the board. Refill the octagon so it's full up to 3 cards again. Then draw new cards off the deck to refill the face-up display back to 3. The next player clockwise can now take their turn. If a player is unable to refill the octagon completely at the end of their turn, fill as many as possible, then immediately proceed to the end of the phase. Give the start player marker to the player sitting to the left of the current player. At the ends of phases 1 and 2, there's some steps to take before the game proceeds. After phase 3, of course, the game ends. Take all the discarded color piece cards and shuffle them to make a new draw pile. Leave any cards on the octagon there. Then refill any empty spaces on the octagon from the top of the deck, remembering to align the yellow dots. Draw 3 more cards from the new deck to create the new face-up display. Next, each player must drop their level bar on their board by 2 lines. There's a reminder of this shown on the phase tracker card. If the bar did not overlap onto any polyominoes, remove all the visitors from the level bar that may be there and place them onto any color pieces in your street. Multiple visitors can share a piece. If the bar does overlap any pieces in your street, remove the bar from the game and return any visitors on it to the supply. You no longer have a level bar and cannot gain new white visitor meeples. Finally, move the phase marker down to the next spot on the phase card. The next turn starts with the player sitting left of the one who ended the previous phase. They should already have the start player token in front of them as a reminder. The polyominoes on your board can earn you visitors and raise your level bar. Gaining visitors is how you win the game, after all. When deciding where to place new polyomino color pieces, you have 2 considerations: completing rows and creating connected color groups. Whenever you place a piece to create a zone of 2 or more same color tiles, you gain a matching colored visitor to place on them. Adding additional matching color tiles to the zone does not gain you more visitors to it. To be connected, the pieces must share a side, touching orthogonally. If you create another group that doesn't touch with at least 2 pieces, that new group gains a visitor. So you want to strategically make small groups of pairs of colors to gain new visitors for each color group. Connecting up separate groups of the same color doesn't award you another visitor. That being said, a bonus is awarded to the player who currently has the largest zone of a color. If you're the first person to create a zone of a color, you also gain the visitor couple meeple matching the color of the zone. The couple visitor in your zone indicates you hold the largest zone of that color among all players. The size of the zone is measured by how many squares it takes up in your street, not how many tiles were used. As soon as another player creates a larger zone of that color, they take the visitor meeple and puts it on their board in the matching zone. Individual visitors are never removed from the street. In addition to matching up color groups in your street, you also want to try to complete full rows. Whenever you fill a line with color pieces of any color, raise your level bar by 1 line and place a white individual visitor on the bar. These are visitors waiting to enter your Arraial, but can only do so at the end of the phase. As long as the bar doesn't overlap with pieces in your street, you'll get to collect them to your Arraial. If you've maxed out the level bar to where it has reached the top of the street board, you can still fill rows and gain the visitors for the level bar. However, if your level bar has been removed from the game, you can never gain new white visitors for completing rows. Should your level bar be pushed off the street top at the end of the phase, it still drops down 2 rows. It is rare, but possible in 4-player games to run out of meeples of a color. That's okay. Just use a different color visitor for the one you should gain. Also, if you max out your board and cannot play a polyomino in your street, you still take actions to rotate and remove cards as you normally would, you just don't place the piece on your board. Use this to your advantage to remove pieces your opponents want or orient them in difficult ways. The end of phase 3 occurs at the end of a player's turn when there are not enough cards to fill the octagon. The game ends immediately. Any players with visitors on your level bar can be placed to any pieces in their street. The level bar does not move downward. Everyone now counts how many points they have from visitors in their street. Each individual visitor meeple is 1 point, and each couple visitor is 2 points. If there's a tie, the tied player furthest from the starting player wins. Arraial can easily be played solo with a few rule changes. Before starting the game, shuffle the color piece deck and remove 4 cards at random, sight unseen. They won't be used this game. You only need 1 street board, and you can return all the couple visitors to the game box. You won't win majority bonuses against yourself. Do not create the 3 face-up display of color piece cards. Instead, when refilling the octagon, draw directly from the top of the deck. When placing the level bar at setup, line it up on the row indicated for a 4-player game. For a more challenging game, lower it by 2 levels to start. For an easier game, raise it 1 or 2 levels. You'll take your turns one at a time like you normally would, but without an opponent. At the end of each turn though, discard any remaining cards from the octagon. When you come to the end of a phase, also discard all cards from the octagon before shuffling the new deck. Count up your points at the end and compare your final score to the score chart in the rulebook. If you scored 10 or less, sorry, not good enough. Go for 17 or more to have an epic Arraial that everyone will remember for years. Keep the rulebook handy and check BoardGameGeek.com for FAQs and extra content. If you want to support the channel, now you can. We've started a Patreon page at patreon.com/MeepleMentor. There's various pledge levels for small monthly support that helps grow the channel's content. You can get access to new content early, you'll get to vote on new game tutorials that come out on the channel, and more. But of course, simply watching our videos, liking, commenting, and all of that YouTube stuff certainly helps. Thank you so much. Consider giving us a subscribe if you found this teaching helpful. Stick around to watch another Learn to Play video, or check out the latest news video to learn about what's going on in the board gaming industry. There's always new games coming out. Until next time, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you later.